Rivera is very fortunate to be based out of LA. It gives us the opportunity to work with influential producers such as yourself. And the amount of feedback that you give us on a continual basis on how these amplifiers perform in the professional recording part of it is priceless. And I want to share some of this information with some of the guitar players out there, and I just had some questions for you. On the latest Tool record, what was that record called?
10,000 Days.
10,000 Days. Which Rivera did you use on that record?
The Mick Thompson Knucklehead Reverb.
The KR7.
KR7, yeah, I don't know any of the model numbers, I just know. I have, how many do I have now? 5? Knucklehead, original Knucklehead, Knucklehead 2, Knucklehead 3, I call it 3, Knucklehead Reverb, triple channel.
Yeah.
And a K-Tray, and a Pubster, and a 4x12, and a 2x12. And then later on, I borrowed a Mick Thompson, and I used it on a Tool record. And
was that a big part of that 10,000 Days record?
It was a huge part of the guitar sound for me. There was a couple other amps that Adam was used to using, and we phased out a few of them and used some of his main ones. And then my track was the Rivera track, the Rivera cabinet, as part of the, like, what I thought was missing from the tone or whatever. So, I mean, it's a pretty complex chain.
You would say most recordings use multiple amps.
Yeah, everything I do, I use multiple amps.
Right.
But what I do like about the Rivera is that it's very flexible. The EQ is very usable, and whether it's clean or dirty, like if a guy's used to using a Marshall or Diesel or whatever, or another amp that has a certain sound, that might be his thing, but to me it might be missing something. Right. So at that point I'll add my other stuff in, and usually it's a Knucklehead Reverb is pretty flexible because there's 3 channels. So if I need something slightly overdriven, clean tone to add some clarity to some dude's ultra fizzy stuff, I got channel 1. If the guy's sound is a little too clean for me, I need a little guts, then I got channel 2. And if I need a little fizz on top and some edge, then I can add channel 3. So I got all that flexibility.
What about the Mick Thompson compared to the Knucklehead Reverb? What does that give you more of or different of?
It seems to just be a little more aggressive to me than the original one that I had. The original one was really good. And I don't know, it's kind of actually crazy. I was talking about the other day. I'm not really sure. I wish I had them both now.
Right. Side by side.
Yeah. I've used the Bonehead also too, which I thought was a great amp on a band called Loudermilk, and they had guitar player Mark Watcher said a fantastic guitar sound, and it was very bold.
What about the K-Tray? What do you? How does the K-Tray sound to you, or how do you use that, or what?
Originally,
what does it fill it in?
It originally was.
I mean, you've really helped
us clear tone for me, but now I go from when I need more of the super fizz and thick and distortion and saturation. That's the ultimate tone right there for that amp for me. I don't use it as
when you need the ultimate aggressive.
Yeah, when I need the thump in the bottom and the saturation and the smoothness, I'll go with the K-Tray. If I'm looking for a little more EQ flexibility, I'll go with the Knucklehead Reverb, because I can get some of that thump but have a little more tonal option. I like the K-Tray for blending clean too, because it's a pretty great clean sound, but not the preamp cranked kind of clean sounds, because it's a master volume only. I can just turn it up and get the amp to break up naturally, and just add a real good amp breakup.
Right. What Rivera cab do you use if you use one?
I'm using the 4x12 I have is vintage, not vintage 30s, but 75s in it.
The Celestion T75s.
Yeah, which I think is great for drop tuning and low thuddy chunky stuff. It doesn't get too woolly. It's got a lot of clarity, a lot of punch, especially for fast players.
So it records well?
Yeah. I mean, vintage 30s record well also, but I prefer the 75 over the 30 for most applications.
Right.
Preview of how I even got hooked up with Rivera was maybe 10 years ago. I was doing a band from Ireland called My Little Funhouse, and they had done a record with Mike Klink, and they came back to the States to work on a record, and they had said, we'd really like to try these Rivera amps out. We've heard about them, we've seen them, but we've never used them. So I just found the phone number in like the internet or the phone book or something, and called your dad up and said, "You don't know me, I'm working on a record. I'm down at the time it was called A&M Studios, and with this band who wants to try some of your stuff out." And he's like, "Cool, you gonna be there later? I'll drop off a half stack for you." And he came down with the Knucklehead, original Knucklehead, and a 4x12, and we used it on the whole record for like, I don't know, a month and a half or something, 6 weeks. And then I called him up and said, "Okay, we're done with it. That's awesome." Totally didn't want any money for it. Was totally cool loaning it to us for 6 weeks. And the head sounded so killer, I was like, "Hey, can I buy this thing from you?" And totally hooked me up. So that's when I met your dad. And then I met you after the fact.
Right.
Your dad himself delivered a 4x12 and a half stack to the studio for me, which was cooler than hell. So I thought that was awesome.
That was the beginning.
That was the beginning,
relationship with Rivera.